What's good, y'all? Welcome to the Barnabas Co-Lab. My name is Mike. Here is Sam and Chris, and we're excited that you're joining us. So the purpose of this podcast is very simple. We want to create a space where conversation can take place between not only ministry leaders, but now we're crossing over even to an entrepreneurial space. And I feel like there's a movement of God moving towards this direction where the picture or the imagination of church planting is changing. I am so glad that I am venturing into this space, not by myself. We're doing this together as a family of leaders. And that's what Barnabas Co-Lab is. One of the most important topic that I really want us to talk about today, guys, is this idea of loneliness in leadership.
Yeah.
What does that look like? And we can all just kind of share our own stories. Introduce yourself, obviously, talk about your story. What is the role of leadership in both your formation as you follow Jesus, but also the lessons being learned as you're learning to navigate how to relate, how to build deep and meaningful connection as a leader, and how that's probably one of the hardest things that you can do.
Yeah.
So maybe you can have what Chris start first.
My name is Christian, been part of a church leadership as long as I've known. I mean, I didn't have a title of a pastor, but I've always been, I was talking to a mentor recently and I said, the context of me following Jesus has always been in a context of some sort of a Christian leadership, which is kind of tells you my problem. And at the same time, just my upbringing and my experience of church ministry, that's all I knew all my life. Coming into a leadership space where I am pastoring and leading others, it's been interesting to see the dynamics that come out in that space. Whether it is stories that I've never processed or understood that are coming out in some ways. I think that key word that we mentioned, leaders feeling lonely, is just, it's so cliche. It's like everybody's throwing that word around because it names a deep ache of a leadership role. And also, I don't know by nature or nurture, but to some degree, I would agree that is a named reality of leading other people. That you oftentimes feel misunderstood. You feel like people do not really understand the weight that you're carrying. So I think I've been trying to understand how do you not just use that word as an excuse, right? Because I hear it all the time. I feel lonely because I'm a leader. And the next question, of course, is like, well, what are we going to do about this?
Right.
We could complain about the American church over and over and over again and say, this is the problem with the American church. This is the problem with American church leaders. At the point of we're tired of just hearing another friend or mentor, people that we're looked up to that had a moral failure or had a unfortunate downfall of some sort. And I think it begs the question, where are the friends? Who are the people that are doing life with this person? And I think that's where my ache of even entering into the Barnabas Co-Lab, of dreaming about this community of leaders. We literally spent a whole month just talking about the ache of leadership and loneliness in ministry. How do you walk through that? So I rarely find a space where people get to just be really open and have real conversation about that, which is, I think, is valuable for young leaders.
That's true, man.
You're right. We can keep complaining about this ache, but then what's the solution? And I would say that I think one of the main reasons that there's this ache and it's so profound and it's so heavy is because pastors or leaders need pastors.
Oh, that's so good.
For some reason, leaders think that they don't need to be encouraged or even told no or told what to do or challenged. And so if I don't open up my life to someone pouring into me, I'm going to feel lonely.
That's true.
And so I think the American culture is keep everything in, hunker down, I'm strong for everybody. But if I don't have friends that can carry that with me and that can be vulnerable, I think it goes to a level of vulnerability. If someone says I'm lonely, well, you're probably not opening up to anybody.
Come on, man.
Right.
So if we create a culture around that leader is the best and he's amazing or she's awesome, nothing can hurt them, then now we rid them of, then I probably shouldn't share that I'm having a hard time in my marriage, or I probably shouldn't share that I'm struggling in this X, Y, and Z. So for me, what named that is, I didn't have truly like a pastor to pour in. And I didn't have friends that I think I could just be really vulnerable with. And when I say friends, I think it's, at least in my context, it's doing life in ministry and also with our families, and just, it's a communal living.
Yeah.
And my hunch is the American church doesn't do that. I don't think they do that well. So then Barnabas, for us, at least for me, then I want to practice living that out. And so it's going to be sharing my heart with Pastor. It's going to be sharing my heart with you. It's going to be walking alongside of guys and being real with them and vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just having a conversation with somebody yesterday, and she was talking about, hey, if we're going to create a culture of vulnerability, then if I'm sitting across the table and you're, quote, mentoring me, you don't ever, like, I don't know what's going on in your life.
Right.
You're perfect then. So it just becomes I'm just going to be vulnerable as a mentee, but you're never going to share your, stuff. So then I think there's some loneliness in that. It goes back to pastoring and to like true communal living that is birthed out of vulnerability, that it's okay to do that.
How much do you guys think that that's systemic? Like there's the metaphor about like a fish swimming in water, but the fish never knows that there's water around the fish. I feel like the pastoral ministry to some degree is kind of like that fish. Like there is a system that is set in place.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're just swimming in it, and this is all we knew. And so it doesn't come naturally to even question the water. You're just kind of like this. This is how successful ministries do it. Successful leaders.
No, it's a great analogy, and I think people are starting to realize there's something in the water. It's toxic.
And it ain't Kool-Aid, bro.
There's something clearly wrong with this water because we're not living long enough. We're not finishing well. And so like it's a systemic problem. So then let's do some research on the water. Let's do some research on what we're doing, on what it means to grow and mature and to develop, and to do that together with a people. Linking arms, being really truly honest with each other. So I think that's a big.
Then maybe we need to also talk about what is the water that we're swimming in, and we got to probably name it. One of the thoughts that I have, even as you were talking, is like looking back at my journey of learning what it means to have deep and meaningful connection, because we were wired for submission and connection. That's what you see in the book of Genesis. It is not good for man to be alone. I think there's a major difference with being alone and being lonely. Being alone is a matter of situation. It's a matter of choice. You can choose to be alone. But being lonely is a wound. Being lonely is a wound. And I've learned in my seasons of leadership, especially as a young leader, first starting out, you want to prove yourself. So you're out, guns blazing, kicking down hell's door with a water pistol. And like you're just ready to rush in. But you don't realize what toll it takes on your soul when you're going that hard without a space to decompress. For you to no longer just perform, but just be you and be loved for you. For the longest time, I feel like I could not relate to God as a son. I could relate to him more as a servant than I could as a son. And I feel like this is why we're always exhausted and we're always comparing. I've always compared myself to another pastor friend who pastored around the same time, but his church blew up. I remember sharing this with Chris. Bro, we equipped this church and they grew larger than us. What are we doing wrong? And then the real question I'm asking inside of me is this: what is wrong with me?
Right.
And then one day God said something like this. He's like, oh, it's because you're so amazing and so powerful, and that's why all things are held together by your hands. I was like, well, no, if you put it like that, Lord, that's not what I'm trying to say. You're right, that's not what you're trying to say, but that's what you meant. Sometimes we live in this illusion, and I bet this is also the water that we're swimming in. This is the water of performance. This is the water of measuring your value by your output. This is the water of exhaustion as the new normal. This is swimming in the water of, I want to even say, having the form of godliness, but empty of its essence and substance.
Can you talk a little bit more about loneliness as a wound? That's a great distinction of that being alone is a choice, right? And then loneliness as a wound. That really, I'm curious about, what do you mean by that? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. A lot of my sense of loneliness, because, as a pastor, you're surrounded by people all the time.
Yeah.
You're
Yes.
in ministry, you're surrounded by people. Guess what? Now you're a business owner. Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. We've been in this now for a bit. So you're
You do
surrounded.
both.
Yeah, bro.
That's messed up, man.
That's even more crazier. The question of when we were in this podcast was like, why?
Yeah.
As
that's
if
a
we're
great
not
question.
exhausted already. So you're surrounded by people when you are at work or in your business. You're surrounded by people on the weekends, because now, usually most business owners on the weekend, they kind of, or on Mondays, right? You got to take a day off or a time to relax. But now it feels like for us, it almost feels like there's no space for that.
Sure.
Right? There is no space for that. And a lot of times, here's what I'm honestly feeling. I'm surrounded by people constantly, but there's inside of me, I can feel very lonely.
Yeah.
Like I feel misunderstood. I feel a lot of times nobody really sees my pain. Like I'm ministering to everybody else's. I'm giving this word of encouragement for the person, exactly what you said. Like your mentee says, hey, so you must be good.
You're right.
Right? Because the outpouring flows from one direction. The outpouring always flows from you. And I think loneliness comes from a place where this idea of, well, I cannot really be me because I'm needed.
Mm.
How do you feel inside when you feel like you stop being needed? And usually we stop being needed when the position goes away. And you've always talked about this, Chris, and you can maybe elaborate this even more. Sometimes have a leader have this illusion that I'm going to be leading in this position forever.
Right.
Right? But we're learning in different seasons of life that might not be true.
Yeah.
So I feel like loneliness is that. It's a space where I can't be me, where I have to constantly perform. And it comes from a conversation inside of me that says, if I don't perform, I cease to be valuable or needed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Yeah.
now you're no longer a human being, you're a human doing.
Yep.
And I feel like this is the state of many leaders.
I think what we can name about the water that the fish is swimming, or the pastor is swimming in, probably is, I would
Backstrokes.
say, it's this duality in your role. Like, you know how we always say you're wearing different hats? It's tough. Like when you're sitting down with that person, you are trying to mentor that person. And in the church context, I learned that our life intertwine with each other in many different ways.
Yes, for
It's like you and me, we do business together, and then we're kind of partnering in ministry, and our daughters go to the same school.
Yeah.
And like we are intermingling in many different ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so it's not just one hat, there's three hats there.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
Easily.
Yes.
now in the church, like you could imagine the hats that you wear. So like, yeah, we're friends, but is this conversation like a friendship conversation? Or is this like
That's
a
good.
counseling conversation? Or is this like, hey, I need to kind of talk to you about that message that you preach on Sunday type of conversation? And a lot of young pastors, I'm talking about myself, thinking about in the past, is that I kind of just denied that whole reality, that it exists in that way. And then swimming as if like, this is all my friends. Like,
Yeah.
this is not a friendship
good.
conversation.
That's really
Wow.
And so to name that, I feel like even just bring an awareness of like, okay, am I right now trying to get filled, or am I trying to pour out?
That's good.
Or is there like kind of like in between here? Like one mentor of mine said this. I used to always judge churches that are larger than ours and just kind of go like, wow.
We would never do that. We're always humble, bro.
Well, this is
Come
an
on, man.
honest conversation, right? So like this is what it sounds like in my head sometimes. I'm like, look at that. Like this church, they had like a system that they figured out, and they ran that system and it just worked, right? And then somebody told me this, like, do you know that if you want to lead a complex organization or like a larger church, you need a complex soul that can hold that
interesting.
complex organization. Because it requires you to be able to be beside yourself in order to lead in such a way. And that kind of gave me like a humbling experience of just going, you know what? Yeah, I get stuck all the time. I am not even aware of the hats that I'm wearing.
Yes.
And so it requires an enlargement in your soul to carry a more complex organization
That's good.
and lead community in that way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's what I was thinking
I
about.
think to have an imagination for a people that would truly be a family
Right.
is a healthy family, right? So if we're going to do business together, if we're going to do ministry together, all of our lives, right? Paul said, I gave you my life. If we're going to do that, then we need to have an imagination for staying, for sticking it out when it gets really difficult and hard. And this is why you have to have an imagination. It's going to take years to create, right? But if we all have an imagination like, I'm settled in this, I'm here, you're my family, you're my brother, you're my, a spiritual father, a spiritual uncle, then we have a healthy family. We're not leaving. We're not going to leave. If you're not in a system like that, or a pond or a pool like that, and there's all this bacteria of, I'm just going to go find another pond.
Yes.
I'll just go somewhere else. Then yeah, that's going to create in my nervous system, you could very well leave in any moment, right? And then I'm going to be lonely again. And then I'm going to get hurt again. Instead of, what if we created like an imagination for a deep sense of a family?
Yeah.
To get healthy, to work on family system.
So good.
To work on imagination, to do life with each other, and stay.
Yeah.
And I think I've shared this with you many times when I've had hard conversations with people. I have like this PTSD of like, oh, they're just gonna leave.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's so real.
but God's had to heal me and continue to heal me, and if they do, that's okay. But you, Sam, are gonna stay. And there will be people that catch this imagination for a communal family living that do choose to stay. And I think that's my dream. How do we establish this in new church planners? How do we build this in other people? And maybe this is a dig on the American church, and I'm American and I love America, but what's been established is, well, there's just always going to be a bigger pond. There's always going to be new people.
Yes.
There's going to be a greater position. There's going to be a better financial outcome. So then you can leave whenever you want. But what that does is it creates a lot of loneliness in a lot of people.
That's it, man. I think one of the biggest struggle with that is this, as a pastor or as a business leader, you want people to like you. Now, it's easier for you to, as a business leader, to allow people not to like you.
Sure.
But in a spiritual setting, it's hard, man, because you want people to like you. You want people to respect you because you're trying to get people to listen to you. And when they don't listen to you, you start questioning your own identity. And I feel like there's a lot of struggle that comes with that, because a lot of our doing becomes the measure of our worth, becomes the measure of our identity. I think Chris he's one of my friends who really checks me on this. Sometimes I cannot differentiate which people ought to be in which circle in my life. I want everybody to be in my core circle.
Yeah.
So I believe, and I've talked a little bit about this in the book that I'm about to release real soon.
So excited.
Shameless plug. And
It's okay. It's your podcast.
Hey, it's our podcast, bro. And so there's this idea where Jesus had a different set of circles.
Yeah.
So he had a core circle, which was made out of Peter, James, and John. And then he had the community circle, which is made out of his 12. And then he has the crowd. I think the biggest problem for me before what you're talking about, I try to invite the crowd into my core, and they're not necessarily the people who ought to be in my core. But I created so much access because I want to be accessible. Because I've seen before, this is again, my wounds from the past. Whenever I saw pastors, even when I was an unbeliever, look at this Superman. Can't nobody touch him. Can't nobody want to be around him. And I told myself, God, if I ever serve you like that, I want to be accessible. Not realizing that, here's what happens. I can create access for people, but whenever I create access for people, I've also surrendered a couple of my own limitations and my energy and my resources. Because whether you like it or not, it's a release of that. Every time you give somebody access, somebody else have access to that. And every time somebody has access, it needs to remind you of the limitation that you have. And when you surpass that limitation, this is when exhaustion happens. This is when loneliness sink in, even more so. Your family pays for it.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk about that, bro. How do you...
Well, I think as a leader, as a pastor, learning to cultivate, again, God bringing me to, being a pastor is a sacred calling. And so you got to take it really serious. And to be an elder, to grow, to aspire, to desire to be an elder requires having a healthy family. So, well, how do I do that in this rush, crazy, fill my calendar type of culture where you want me to be an elder so that when people come to me, I can give you my life and I can show you my family. But the system, the pond of the church today doesn't create that.
That's true.
Being okay to say no, to say yes to some greater things, which is family, which is maybe just it's the 3.
Yeah.
Or it's the 12. Like, hey, I'm going to give you my life.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean I can't meet with other people.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
And it for Sam with 3 girls and a baby on the way, I have to
Congratulations.
really, thank you. I have to really be wise with my time.
I feel
And
you
so
there.
I'm sure Chris would rebuke me too or challenge me too if I was.
Why am I the rebuker, bro?
No, it's good though.
He is Chris the Rebuker. Okay.
I will not receive that title.
Well, I think because Chris in a really healthy way can slow down in an unhealthy apostolic.
I try.
You know, I think that's really helpful. We need that.
Yeah.
To look at the things that are most important. And because if not, the loneliness will come from the daughter to dad who's
Come on
passing
now.
business. Now you've just perpetuated this system of loneliness.
Woo.
And that's just dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be my children when they're 30 say, yeah, dad he was really focused on everything else except me.
Right.
So then what do I need to create now? And what loving challenges do I need to have put my way now to really, because leadership also is thinking about your family.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And so, yeah.
Dude, Sam, you did a talk at the Co-Lab about finishing well. And we usually don't start with the end in mind.
That's true, man.
You know, and so
That's
we
true.
all like talk about passion and vision casting and starting churches. I mean, like we love that kind of experience, and maybe that's how we get in these leadership roles that we're in.
Yeah.
Because you need to dream and all these things. Nobody ever talk about how do we finish,
Yeah.
or like even the word finish for some of us is like, what? Finish?
What you mean?
I don't want this to end ever. This is gonna be like whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's human, and I don't even know if that's how God works. You know, I just think that everything has a season, beginning and the end. But like, how do you think about whatever that you're part of building right now, whether it is family, business, ministry?
Right.
How do you think about the end? I know that sounds so
That's so
morbid or
interesting.
weird.
Sure. No,
But like, how would you think about that from your perspective?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm even having a gut reaction the moment he said that.
Yeah.
What you mean end?
To
Like,
end.
Yeah. I think things end, yes, but there's a legacy that comes from it.
That's
Right.
good.
So at least for my life as a young 32-year-old, I'm thinking the end in that, Lord, what do you want to build in me for the next generation? For my children and children's children. I need to really think about when I build something or when I partner with God to build something, Lord, where do you want to see this? What's the imagination? How far does this go? And I think that's like my prayer is that, Coin, the ministry that God's allowed me to be a part of, would continue to flourish beyond me. Business would flourish beyond me. So then how do I think about that in the future? And my position will change. Maybe I'm not the implementer. Maybe I'm just the coach. Maybe I'm just the father or the mentor to the next generation. But like, I'm constantly thinking about that. I know it's like kind of wild. I'm like, yeah, God, like when I'm in my 60s, what does this look like? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have some work to do to build up the next generation so that I can like breathe in my 60s. Because I want to go as fast as I can and as hard as I can, but I have to be realistic, right? So I think that goes back to like leadership and loneliness. Then I don't want to be that for other people. I want to really give my life to some people and trust that there's a risk with that, and that's okay. You know.
You know, one of the skills that we need to develop as a leader is to move towards resistance.
Yes.
I noticed that when you said that, something inside of me kicked in and almost like I didn't like that very much. What you mean ending? Because I began I was listening to you speak, my mind was running constantly thinking about How do I create that sense of legacy?
Yeah.
Right? At the same time, I'm resisting in my head going, but that's so far beyond, that's so out there. I'm thinking about like, even ending a season can almost feel like giving up. Ending a season, I think I make it mean,
Yeah.
like I failed in this. If it ends, that means I must have messed up somewhere.
Wow.
And that's why I was like, oh, I don't like that word ending. Hey, can we just be real right quick? You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like in these kind of settings, this is why we open it up to Barnabas Co-Lab, where I want to be more aware of my inner conversations.
Yeah.
For sure.
And if I have friends, the 3 friends and whoever is watching out there, that's what I feel like immediately kicked in for me when you even mentioned that.
Sure.
Because I think we give definitions to many things, and that's what gives it power in our life.
Yeah.
And for me, at least, I know what I need to surrender, but my conversation inside that immediately kicks in. Oh my gosh, I make this mean. Ending means failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. When I think of ending, I think of end. This is my apostolic.
Yeah.
To start something new.
What's next?
Bro, I'm the exact opposite of you.
End to begin something, or end to shift.
Right.
To shift that season, bless it, and say, "What's next, God?" Because I believe in God's kingdom. There's always some work to be done in a healthy sense, you know.
Yeah.
And I love work.
Yes.
I truly am so blessed to work and to work the soil, and I just want to try to get back to Genesis 1 and 2 type of work. But it's like, Sam, the kingdom's large. This thing that I called you to may end, but hey, let's dream of something else now. And I think that's my encouragement, you know, as I process that, you know. But yeah, I guess that I could feel that way too if I think it just ends and that's it. And then who am I? Then what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, I was wrestling with that because there was like an 18-year gap period where I was the lead pastor of Avalov Church.
Yeah, it's a long time.
A long time. And then when I sensed it, the Lord says, it is time. It is time.
Yeah.
Like Rafiki said. And I feel like it is time to pass it to the next person who God says, I need this person's gifting to be able to lead in this season so that it can go to the next level.
Yeah.
And of course, when that took place, everything inside of me resisted.
Yes.
Because sometimes without us realizing, and this is where lonely comes in again, what we do has really become who we are. And the position has already become established as a part of our identity. And if I'm not that anymore, then who am I?
Yeah.
But you know what blows my mind, what I love, and I can see the imagination for the future is, you showed me something in that transition. Because I remember you told me this, right? I take your seat, and I'm like, so then where are you going?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Like, all right, here's another person that leaves, right?
Yeah.
Okay, another just prepare for the loneliness.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Wow.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, Sam, when we're called to something, we believe in eldership. When you're called to something, you stay.
Yeah.
And that was like refreshing to hear.
Good.
So even now, like, you may not be lead pastor like you were for the past 18 years, but now, again, that may have ended, but can now look at what God created now and established. Barnabas, giving your life more to people, so because you don't have the demands of like lead pastoring.
It's true.
And that
It's all on him now.
Yeah, that helps me in ministry. That helps me so much. Like, wow, I don't have to go to another church.
Yeah.
This is my family. Why would I?
Let's talk about that real quick. What is the common situation that usually takes place? Let's say when a lead pastor
See you later.
steps down, right? And then let the next lead pastor comes in. Usually, the reason why you say that, for those who don't know, like usually the common situation is lead pastor would leave.
Yeah.
Well, something happened.
Right.
They weren't happy with the pay.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Or a moral failure.
Moral failure.
Yeah.
God's called me to this. And again, that's my attention. Like, I always am like, did he really? And that's between them and God, right? But it's like, or is it just, be honest. Like, hey, our family's desiring to go somewhere else. We're talking about desire and contentment, right? Like, just be honest. Don't, there's a shift going on. It's like, just be real. But I love that. Hey, I'm here. It's just going to look different.
Yeah.
And I think that, at least my experience is it's always like this CEO perspective, executive, organization perspective of like, okay, someone else is coming in, I'm leaving, I'm going to go to another church and do what I did here over there. And that breaks my heart because it minimizes the beauty of the family of God.
Yeah.
If that's how God changes the world, then we need to take it serious.
That's so
God
good.
changes the world through family, right?
Yeah.
Spiritual and real family.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that play out, it was so refreshing because I've never seen that before.
Again, without moralizing any transition stories in any church, however, we're naming the water that the
Yeah.
fish is swimming in. And
We're
so
naming the
we're all
Kool-Aid,
in
bro.
this. And imagination is a weird thing, right? You actually got to push the boundary
Yeah.
to kind of go back and interact with scripture and then seeing what is the cultural moment that we live in and then the lived experiences of many Christian leaders and pastors. And so we're all trying to imagine together here for the American church. And we would say that this is a different pastoral imagination of leading together in a space that is lesser like corporate America
Yeah.
and more of trying to pursue New Testament in an honest and contextual way.
Sure.
And
Love
so
that.
we're trying to interact in that. That has its different homework too, as we're imagining.
No, it does, for
imagining a different type of pastoral imagination. But I think the intuition is correct. I think a lot of other leaders who are either transitioning out of one ministry and entering into the next, or new ministries that are coming up, or new younger leaders, they're all asking the same question.
Yeah.
It's like, what is a different imagination for this?
Yeah.
How do we defeat loneliness as a wound? What do we do with that? How do we process that? How do we create systems that actually can not repeat the same story over and over again?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think that's the question that we're
So,
trying to ask.
Can you talk a little bit about, obviously, this moment of transition? It challenged different things within us.
Yeah.
I bet.
God is forming different things within us.
Yeah.
For me, one of the biggest shift was exactly what you brought up, Sam. God had to ask me the question. So if I was to ask Christian to step into this, is that okay? Has your call ceased? And God reminded me that my call for you is not to be the lead pastor. My call for you is to be a father in the church community.
Yeah.
And that's always been your calling. The position does not determine your calling.
That's correct.
The position, it helps create platform for the calling that God has given you, but that is not the calling itself.
Yes.
The calling itself for me is to be a father. And so that helped me as I transition. Because man, immediately loneliness kicks in. All of a sudden, all these anxious thoughts come in. It's because a lot of lies has already seeped in. Loneliness has already seeped in. And so there's a lot of process that I had to go through, a lot of healing that I had to go through, a lot of conversations with my wife, and my wife rejoiced. My wife has a completely different reaction than I. My wife was like, Lord, you have answered thy servant's prayer. She went King James on me, and she was ready to let it go. And I feel like it's a completely different season that we're learning into. But now I feel like we're ministering more than ever before
Oh, absolutely.
in this new season. And I love it. It gives me life. Like exactly like you said. But what was it for you?
Yeah.
Because now you're about to step into a completely different role, right? Because you've always been a supporting role. Now you're taking the leading role. What was that like for you?
So I was the associate pastor since 2012. God actually asked me this question in the beginning of my journey of
Do you remember
pastoring.
what you told me though? Like when I asked, I used to tease him, bro,
Yeah.
what do you think about it's time you take the leadership? He's like, don't you dare do that to me.
Yeah. God really spoke to me and he asked me. I think that was my process too.
Yeah.
And he asked me, if I ask you to be the second person forever, you'd be okay with that? And the younger Christian in his ego
Sure.
and idealism rejected that with all of his body,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, because again, the imagination that's set before you, if you want to be successful, you got to lead something.
That's true.
You got to make it count.
Yeah.
Like your genius got to shine through whatever
Yeah.
that you lead. I'm more convinced that that is not the imagination for it. But at that time, it was like a crushing blow to my ego to go, yeah, maybe this is my call that God wanted to do it. And so I said yes to God because I wanted to be faithful to that. And I wrestled throughout that many years of going, okay, this is what I'm going to be faithful to.
Yeah.
And then what surprised me was this flip, because I was like, I was kind of also in that season of like, oh man, I felt that loneliness as wound, the burden of ministry. I don't even know what a sabbatical or we just ran. Like
In our love, no.
we're like a pioneering type of ministry. We go. We build a business to support the church. I mean, like it's crazy.
It's true.
To think about it now. But I was in a place where just like I was numb to friendship. I was like, I don't even know if we have friends other than church people that I consider family, but I also have a lot of duality type of relationship with them. And I didn't know where to look. And so it was actually you and Mark at Bridge who mentioned to me about Sea Rock, who said, hey, you should join this thing. And I'm like, what is it? Is it conference? He's like, no, it's not. It's like a group of friends eating together. I'm like, why do I need to pay for that? I don't find my own friends.
That's the Asian in him.
And you know, like, to be honest, that was my first thought. I'm like, I need good content. I need to be like more super pastor, whatever, upgrade me.
So funny,
I need more wisdom. And then there was a desire one year of God just speaking in the beginning of the year. Usually I ask God, what is the word for this year? And then there's this longing for friendship. So I remember I was like, hey, I'm just going to apply to this thing and try to see what it's all about. And then it was a lot of eating, a lot of sitting around a table with friends. There was some good content and some cool people. But then I found that I've actually kind of killed this part of my life, which was just a longing for connection and friendship. And so something was reawakening in me. And that was at the end of this trying to figure out myself. I know there's this illusion in our culture that like you need to go inward to figure yourself out by yourself. I don't know, go to a mountain and then like you'll find out what God's calling in your life is. What I found is the exact opposite of that. Actually, you only find who you are in the face of other people and the tribe that you run with.
That's
and
so good.
That friendship, this different type of circles that God brought into my life really expanded my imagination for this thing. And kind of like what we're dreaming about even with the Co-Lab was, man, leaders need deep friendship. And that's a conviction. And it just kind of awakened something in me. Yeah. So when I came home from one of the Sea Rock trip, I remember receiving a word of prophecy. Somebody just said to me, like, some of you are going to change roles. And I'm like, what role? I mean, I've been in this role for a long time.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home from that trip, you pulled me aside and was like, hey man, I gotta talk to you.
Yeah.
And so we sat down and I was just, whoa, this is what it was. But on my end, God was preparing me for this thing that I didn't imagine I was gonna be doing. But I think your humility, and I always say to people, I honor you so much because I stand on your shoulder in this, is that you set a culture or imagination for the rest of our community. And maybe, I don't know how long Our Beloved Church will exist, but this will be part of its story until then, is that we're gonna lead together. And this is not a career move. This is not like, okay, I already wrote the book now and I built a ministry. I'm going to look for a bigger pond somewhere else. But it's like, no, we're staying. And we're going to do this together. So on my end, that was kind of like my journey, my story, and like what God was doing in me. And so, loneliness was like a huge conversation around that.
Right. So now maybe we can just round up this conversation with this. So how have you been addressing loneliness in your life? What has been the practices, personal practices in the way of Jesus that has really helped you when it comes down to dealing with this loneliness? I think that's the question.
Yeah, well, I would say for me, as we land the plane, what I really go after then is I want to be really intentional with the 3, right, or the 12 that I have.
Yep.
And I'm just going to be myself. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take off whatever mask or false self that I am. Be okay with being truly transparent to build that relationship. Confession.
Yes.
Be okay to confess. Man. For me, those are some practices that I've built within my life on a weekly basis. There's always those opportunities to confess, to be real, to be honest, so that I do not step into loneliness. And then also for myself to become the type of man that wouldn't do that to others.
So good.
So that's something ingrained in me that I want to continue to live out.
I love that. For you, Chris?
Dude, my personal practice, I learned this recently that, do you know there's a research that when you read fiction, you become more empathizing on people. So I read a lot of fiction books because I'm such a leadership type
Sure.
of thing. I love like the framework, 3 things that to grow your whatever. And fiction's frustrating for me because like when you read a story, you get lost in what's the point of, but you enter into someone else's ways of seeing things, and it connects you to your inner world in such a way. I felt it is a great practice for me personally to grow in empathy and just friendship. And then I eat with my community once a week. That's a core practice for me. And then I usually have different type of friends that I sit with. So I have the church friends, and then there's the non-church friends. I'm a 6 on an Enneagram, and this is like an interesting thing about 6s is that we are great integrators of our separate parts of life. So like it's not that I'm trying to wear mask, is that I can be different in different type of settings, and some of my friends might not even know the other world that I am part of until eventually maybe when I die one day and we have a funeral and they're all like in the same room and they're like, oh my gosh, like
I didn't
what?
know that.
He's
Yeah.
that part of himself. So that's like a 6. We're integrators, but we know, like, I find such freedom there where I was a punk rock emo kid. Like that
With
was
long hair.
That was me. And
I'm telling
that
you.
part of my life, it lives somewhere. And then there's this ministry side that I love so much. And it's my family side. I just find more and more, someone name it for me, you're like Swiss Army knife. And that's exactly what it is. Could be like a shadow side or a good thing.
Sure.
But when I integrate it, I'm most healthiest because I become a collaborator. I encourage other people. And so my core practices like relate to trying to understand my different parts. To be
I
one
love
type
that,
of
man.
thing.
I think for me, communal practice is probably the easiest. That's not a challenge, meaning like that's just my go-to actually. Confession, all those things are great. But one of the things that the Lord challenged me in, and this is how I need to integrate all things, is another practice that I hate, is the practice of solitude.
Being by yourself.
Bro, it's death. And I feel
I
like...
can see why.
I feel like that's the most challenging for me. One day the Lord spoke to me concerning this, and he was addressing something inside of me that I didn't notice was there. He goes, Mike, you have no problem going to other people, but you don't always come to me first. But yet you preach and teach to others to seek God first, right? And this is just revealing some of the hypocrisy that I live in. And something that he's been addressing inside of me is this: Mike, do you believe that I exist? I go, Lord, you can't be asking me a question like that. Of course I do. But why do you then treat your issues and the things that you face in life as if I don't exist? I'm not the first one that you run to. You know who you talk to first? Your wife. You know who else you talk to first? Christian. Do you know who else you talk to first? Everybody else but me. I understand the concept. Come on, we all know, seek the Lord first. But there's a reason why solitude was so crucial to Jesus. That he went away alone often. He didn't say he went away lonely. He says he went away alone.
Yes.
So good.
It was by choice.
Yeah.
And solitude has a way of realigning my entire being with the Lord first
Wow.
before I take it to others.
That's good.
Because I've noticed that sometimes when I take it to others, it's out of my chaos, and that's good. There's a practice there that I'm being vulnerable. I'm stepping into the light with others. I'm allowing people to enter into my suffering. But the Bible says this: we step into the light as he is in the light. So the first person that I need to encounter is not you first.
Yeah.
The first person I need to encounter is him first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And solitude puts me in a place
Yeah.
where
That's a good
I
word.
need to worship God first. And this has been most life-changing. And you know how it plays out with my wife. Because my wife can tell when I have come to Jesus or not. Because when I come to her without coming to Jesus, there is no authority. If you don't submit this way, there is no submission this way.
Wow.
And I feel like, there's now this constant check-in when I know that when I come to her and there's no submission, and by the way, she's off camera, so that's why I'm just kind of looking this way.
Just checking.
It's just checking her expressions. And I think the way when I come to her and I know that I carry something from the presence of God, she can feel it. And when I talk to you, now it comes from a different weight.
Yes.
It no longer comes from me striving to give you an answer,
Mm.
me striving to give you the perfect performance or appearance. Now it's coming from, I just spend time with Jesus, and may His glory rest on me,
Yes.
and may His glory
So
overflow
good.
through me.
Amen.
That's been the biggest practice for me.
Mm-hmm.
To it's funny, right?
Yep.
But I thought you're addressing loneliness. Why do you go alone?
Yeah.
For me, it's important
Yeah.
because I need to create a distinction between being alone, choosing to be alone with God,
Yep.
and being lonely.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
That's the major one for me.
Amen.
But anyways, that's our talk for today. I love this conversation. Next time, bring your coffee.
I finished it like in a-
but you didn't share with anybody. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Talking about
Sorry.
body life. This is coffee. It's a part of body life.
Yes.
So next time when we sit down together, one of the things that I do want to talk about is the family dynamics within the church relationship. I'm talking about what does it mean, because we're addressing loneliness now, but what does it mean? You mentioned it earlier, Sam, about having a spiritual father, having brothers and sisters, and having spiritual children.
Yes.
So there seems to be a dimension of relationship that we need to develop in as we follow Jesus. So can't wait to talk about that. We'll see you on the next time.
All right. See ya.